During a snowstorm, a bunch of horses is startled by an unusual entity. Later, the same heavily breathing monster enters an adjacent barn, alerting the sheep. Ingvar and Maria, a childless couple, live in the mountains of Iceland. They live a very simple, tranquil life while caring for the sheep and farming the land to produce veggies for the family. Because the location is remote, they spend the most of their time together or doing housework. One evening, as Maria marks their sheep to keep track of how many are in the barn, she believes the figure is higher than last year. But Ingvar isn't interested in expanding the herd because they don't need to spend money on it. While chatting about work, Maria mentions the tractor, stating it's producing difficulties again, to which he responds that they should get it mended before the plantation season. They witness a bizarre occurrence as one of the sheep gives birth to a hybrid lamb with half sheep and half human body. Maria, realizing he is more human, takes her into the house, and they both begin to care for her. Because they do not have any children of their own, they devote their affection to the lamb Ada. Ingvar even brings in a baby cart for Ada and places it in their bedroom so she may stay with them all the time. As they adopt Ada as a member of their family, her original mother continues to contact, but they do not return her calls. When Ingvar sees Maria treating her like a child, he becomes angry and cries out of disappointment at not having one of their own, but he keeps his grief hidden from Maria because he does not want to hurt her. As Ingvar tries to fix the tractor, his dog points out something weird in the field, but they can't figure out what it is. Time passes and Ada's mother continues to appear outside the house in pursuit of her child, but Maria continually sends her away while Ada watches. One morning, as Maria leaves to work in the fields and Ingvar looks after Ada, he mistakenly leaves the house door open before heading out to work in the shed. As they return to the house, Maria inquires about Ada. He tells her that he put her to sleep before heading outdoors. She tries to check on her, but cannot find her in the bedroom. They search around the house and notice that Ada is absent. Maria worries for her, but he promises her that he will locate her shortly. They begin scouring the neighborhood, but none of them can find her anywhere. As they return helplessly, Maria hears the sheep in the barn and rushes over to them, where she sees Ada asleep by her mother. They quickly remove her from the sheep and cover her to protect her from the frigid cold. As they return her to the house, the mother's sheep begins to follow them, but Maria once again sends her away. After coming back inside and putting her in bed, they both breathe a sigh of relief, knowing their daughter is safe with them. Ada gradually becomes an essential member of the family, particularly for Maria, who cannot live without her and spends a lot of time with her. Maria has nightmares about the sheep, fearing they would steal Ada away from her. She becomes concerned about Ada and devises a strategy to neutralize the threat. She leaves Ingvar and Ada napping and goes outside to shoot Ada's mother. Maria buries the sheep in the grave, unaware that Ingvar's brother Peter, who has just arrived, watched the entire event. While spending the night in the barn, Peter notices a human sheep hybrid, but it swiftly vanishes, leading him to believe it is a dream. The next morning, he wakes up and greets Ingvar, who is delighted to see him after such a long absence. Ingvar leads him outside and instructs Maria to prepare breakfast for the guest. As they sat at the dining table, Ada, who has grown up, appears at the door, and Maria presents her to Peter. He is a little upset to see her, but says nothing. As Ada and Maria spend time together while Ingvar paints the house, Peter returns inside and observes them playing together. When Ingvar comes over, he communicates his discontent with Ada, but Ingvar is unconcerned because he sees Ada as the source of their happiness. At night, as Maria brings Ada to say goodnight to him and Ingvar, Peter attempts to chat with Ingvar about keeping her, but he stops him because he does not want to discuss it. He invites Peter to stay as long as he likes, but prevents him from interfering with their personal lives. Maria is dissatisfied with Peter's attitude and inquires about his stay, but Ingvar knows he may stay for a while because he frequently visits to hide from the individuals he owes money to. The next morning, while they plant potatoes in the field, the dog watches over Ada, but she scares him off. While taking a break from work, Peter makes a move on Maria, but she rejects him. He once again claims that they have taken an animal into the house, but Maria ignores his concerns because he has nothing to do with their family. The next morning, Ingvar wakes him up to ask for help cleaning the shed. While cleaning, Peter discovers his old drums and begins playing them excitedly. While Ada appreciates it, but he becomes upset with her. He tries to tease her by making her eat like a lamb, but Ingvar appears and chastises him for treating her like whey. One night, while they were sleeping, Peter takes Ada for a morning stroll without telling them and prepares to shoot her, but changes his mind after seeing her innocent face. Maria awakens shortly after and discovers Ada is missing from her shopping basket. She becomes concerned and searches for her throughout the home, only to discover her resting in Peter's arms, realizing that he has finally embraced her. Maria visits the cemetery and reveals that she and Ingvar had a daughter called Ada and named the lamb after her. While reading the stories to Ada, Ingvar recalls his lost daughter and the anguish he felt after losing her, but Maria comforts him. Peter grows close to Ada and frequently takes her outside with him. Ingvar and Maria are pleased and relieved to see the two of them finally getting along. While fishing, Peter tells Ada about Ingvar's youth. As they return home, the tractor breaks down in the middle of the road. After failing to locate the problem, he abandons it and walks home with Ada. After supper, they all watch a game together and become furious as the team loses. Maria, seeing them distressed, decides to cheer them up by playing an old music video of Peter. As people begin to dance to the beat, their moods shift. As they all begin to eat and drink, Ada exits the house and spots her biological father. She is surprised to discover that she resembles him rather than Maria or Ingvar. Back at home, Ingvar gets intoxicated and collapses on the floor. Peter brings him to bed, and Ada joins him. He goes fast asleep, but Ada can't stop thinking about what she witnessed outside the house. Meanwhile, Peter returns to the kitchen and attempts to flirt with Maria again, but she stops him. When he notices that she is not paying attention to him, he blackmails her into telling Ada that she killed her mother. Maria, after listening to him, pretends to have fallen into his trap but locks him in the closet. He calls her repeatedly and bangs on the door, but she refuses to open it. The following morning, she wakes him up and asks him to leave the house while she drives him. Ingvar wakes up and searches for them throughout the home, as Ada assists him with breakfast. After sending him off at the bus stop, Maria informs him that Ada is a gift for them, allowing them to start afresh. Despite her disappointment with his behavior, she gives him money to help him with his expenditures and bids farewell to him as he boards the bus to leave town. Meanwhile, Ingvar takes Ada with him to fix the tractor and chats to her about how she will go home if she misses her way. He is unable to address the matter, so he walks back with Ada. Maria drives cheerfully back home, believing that they can now live in harmony with Ada. She returns home and seeks for Ingvar and Ada, but cannot locate them anywhere in the house. She hears a gunshot and rushes over to check on Ingvar. But the hybrid thing, who has already killed her dog, shoots him in the neck right in front of her. Ada lies next to him, but he grabs her hand and pulls her away from Ingvar. Although she does not want to leave him alone, she keeps looking back at him through tears, but her biological father drags her away, and Ingvar can only watch at them in anguish. Maria soon discovers him in a terribly injured state and takes him up, but he dies in her arms. Maria sobs for her loss and closes her eyes in anguish.